I've had a request to sing Baby One More Time by Britney Spears, which I don't want to do because of the song's message and because in general I don't do cover songs. I don't have stuff pirated of me singing something that I don't really want to say in a song, but I thought I would talk about the critical analysis that apparently hasn't been done in the song even after so many years, and which has in some ways even been covered up and to a large extent by the claims of the song's authors that hit me just means call me. In a limited sense, I guess I could agree with that, but there's a lot more to it. And when you look up the meaning of the song, all the top hits, at least that I got, were just this same article repeated over and over that didn't really say much in detail. Hit Me for me has multiple meanings, all of which connect to deity worshipper relationship implied between the narrator of the song and somebody outside. Hit me could mean like St. Paul being struck by lightning, having contact with the deity in some way that's revelatory and which can potentially change the life of the person. Flagellation is also something that's very common in religions. People are beaten on purpose. They self-flagellate or they engage in purification rituals. These things are all over the world in different religions, in different contexts. Also, hit me means music success. To get a hit is something that is the goal of the performer, and which in Toxic by Britney Spears is more explicitly alluded to. If you want to know the meaning of Baby One More Time, much of it can be learned by looking at the lyrics of Toxic, which is about an addictive relationship in which someone is having contact with negative supernatural entities by phrases such as poison paradise and devil's cup. And the singer says, I need a hit, give me it. This is have multiple meanings potentially, and a pun in that the singer always needs a hit. And after having had one hit, one example of this huge success, like being struck by lightning, then in Baby One More Time, it's essentially forecast that the upcoming star will want to have another hit. It'll be like an addiction. So there's this religious language that occurs over and over, and it just saturates Baby One More Time, I think. There in the chorus, there are words that are all religious connections, such as confess, and this video is shown in a school where everybody wears a uniform, which is common in Catholic schools. Believe and give me a sign. And it's as if the potential believer has gotten one sign, which ought to be enough to open up the personal relationship with the deity and start off a new course in that person's believer's life. But the potential believer is still holding out, wanting to get another sign because it was such a big jolt, such a rush to get the first one. This is not a depiction of a healthy relationship as it should be supposedly with a deity, as described in other people's religious experiences, in that the person feels a sense of connection to something far bigger and therefore is not alone. Whereas in the song it's constantly emphasized that the singer is alone and that the loneliness is killing. The loneliness is shown, in fact, where Britney Spears sits in the school bleachers, and she sits initially over top of a sign that says keep aisle clear, so she's blocking the aisle. This doesn't show up because everything around her is open and anybody can just walk around her if they like. But it's as if she's having a religious experience that no one else is seeing, and that by not understanding the lyrics, no one else is acknowledging, and which isolates her because no one else sees what's going on, and it takes place within a fantasy where there's a basketball game and dancing and so on, and a temporary escape from the school where she's waiting for the bell to ring, and at the end the bell rings and she's still back in the school, imprisoned again. There's a lot of other biblically influenced content in the idea of someone having to breathe. That's the means of creation of people in Genesis 2. They have the breath of life breathed into them by Jehovah. And creation and torture recovery are potential torture recovery are connected, in that somebody is having to come back from deprivation and having no one to relate to other than the apparent abuser, having to breathe again after being almost drowned, which would be like a parody of baptism, is something that would happen. And also having to be revived. If someone is abused so horrendously and traumatized, made to dissociate, then there are times when the person passes out or can't breathe anymore and has to be resuscitated. So they have to have life physically breathed into them. And it's common in these dynamics where one person is acting the part of the one who's controlling the other person's life, choosing their image, making that person over in their image to be displayed to the public. Then that's a characteristic. That's something that's the creation from Genesis 1, creating man in our image. And the hour in this case would be like the people handling, managing the singer's career, choosing the songs, choosing the image, how that singer will be presented to the public. And by doing this, having control and demanding submission from the singer, so that the singer says, just tell me, show me what has to be done to advance my career and give me the next dose of fame. Though this is something that maybe people don't want to think about in listening to the song, or they don't care about because it's got a good beat and you just kind of go on obliviously. But it adds to the tone of isolation in the song, because people aren't analyzing what the lyrics say, which only further isolates the singer, who's presenting in some way a false persona and not relating to the audience as he or she really is. So it's more like a little bit is like the movie Simone, where Dustin Hoffman has a character who wants to be loved by the public as an attractive woman would. So he creates this persona, this simulation called Simulation 1, Simone, and shows himself to the world through her, and in some ways loses control of the image. But this is also like Phantom of the Opera. I've done a video on this, the religious allegory of Phantom of the Opera. Someone who doesn't have the right face maybe can compose the music and do other elements of the performer's career, but wants to be seen through the performer presenting him or herself as the public face that he doesn't have otherwise, or she doesn't have. Also, it makes me wonder, when you see these songs that are really about something more than just a simple interaction, in where there's a romantic attraction, where you write a story about something else and just slap the boy-girl label on top of it, whether the term baby in itself can be like a religious reference. Many pop songs, vast numbers of pop songs really, are just commercialized versions, as it's been said by other people, of prayer, of religious songs that are just made in a more palatable fashion. And it makes me wonder in that way whether this is a parody of how people relate to Jesus, because he came into the world as a baby. We celebrate the arrival of the baby Jesus, and baby is this ubiquitous reference that you hear in pop songs. There's also the pretty baby reference, where the singer is the pretty baby, but singing to presumably the people who are writing her songs and managing her career, putting the image they desire to be seen back on them. So referring to them as pretty babies, they'll feel like they are in fact the image they're projecting through her. So that's some of the basic themes of the song. I think Hit Me has those multiple meanings, all of which are connected to the power exchange dynamics when someone plays the part of the god, the one who figuratively or to some degree really owns someone else and controls someone else, creates them, and creates their image.